Hello, this is Leo Bray on behalf of Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center in Palm Springs. Visit us online at urbanyoga.org or Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center on Facebook to check out the schedule of daily classes offered on Zoom. Classes are available 5 days a week for those in the Palm Springs area. We meet at Ruth Hardy Park Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. Different teachers, different times. Check out the schedule online. And while you're online, you can also visit our tip jar. You can make contributions, donations to support our classes via Venmo or PayPal or Zelle. Today for the 8:15 Pacific Time morning flow class, no one joined me on Zoom. So what we do in these instances is make a shorter video for those who enjoy our classes on YouTube later. We have some shorter offerings. So when no students come to Zoom live, we use the opportunity to make one of these shorter videos. So today we're going to talk about plank pose and some breaking down of the pose, some variations to offer, some ways to tailor it to your needs. I always preach listening to your body during practice and modifying things as needed. So take some different looks at planks with different approaches and things you can do to accommodate what might be going on in your body during a given practice, given day. So plank, a couple of different ways you might come into it. We often come into it as part of a sun salutation, where we're flowing from standing to a forward fold to lifting part way up, stepping back like this to our plank. Probably the most common entry point you find in flow classes. Find a long shape. When you first get to the plank, really feel for even grounding. Both hands, both feet, let the hands open way up so you feel the whole palms on the ground. Hips coming down in line with the shoulders and the knees. Now, first variation would be if this is too much in your lower back, anywhere, you could let the knees down and make a shorter plank. And it's a very similar shape. Your hips are still in line with your shoulders and your knees. You want to have your hands about shoulder width apart. That might be wider than you think it is. If there's a place where you can practice and see a mirror head on, you can maybe gauge that a little better, or have someone else point it out to you, whether your hands are under your shoulders or not. Having them in closer than shoulder width apart can produce some strain in the shoulders and make it a less stable position. Now, transitions from plank, we often, from the longer traditional plank, would do Chaturanga Dandasana, which is a lowering down like this. And sometimes we come halfway down and then come forward into a heart opener, like a cobra or upward facing dog. Come in the heart opener. Now, this motion of coming from plank down below, so think of the elbows in line with the rib cage. When you come lower than that, that's a lot of force in the shoulders that maybe the is strained. And that might be something you want to skip. So maybe it's coming down just this far. Or maybe what we often do with the knees lowered in the shorter plank is skip the bending of elbows. And instead of doing that, instead of lowering down and then coming forward into the heart opener, from here, from the shorter plank, we can come right into the heart opener by dropping the belly, lifting the gaze, and open the heart that way. Now, other ways you might vary the plank, you might find having your wrists at about 90 degrees like this. By the way, wrist creases, if you're in traditional plank, the wrist creases should be parallel to the shoulder edge of the mat. But maybe that's a lot of force for you. If that doesn't feel good in your wrist, you might do a forearm plank. So it could look like this. And you come from being on your forearms like this. Now the force is distributed instead of being in your hands, it's in your forearms. And from here, you can bring your heart forward, drop your belly, come to like a cobra, modified cobra. You can also do that with your hands together, like palms together, or fingers interlaced, things like this. So those are some ways you might find of making your plank more accessible or more comfortable for you. Now, maybe the modifications you're looking for are in the other direction, like you're fine with the traditional longer plank and you're one who is drawn towards making things more challenging, mixing things up. So different things we can do there. You might play with a one-legged plank. So you can be in plank with one leg up. So this just really changes the engagement in your core. And as you can see, it changed my hips. I had to readjust my hips. But you can, with one leg raised, maybe a little, maybe a lot, you can do the lowering down and coming into your heart opener. And you can even go from your heart opener to, instead of downward facing dog, three-legged dog. Go up like that. And we can also do, we can rock forward from three-legged dog to the one-legged plank. Other things you might play with, it's fun sometimes to play with a side plank. We do that by coming from plank, you bring one hand under your face, and then you're going to tip onto the edge of your feet. You're pivoting the body 90 degrees. And still, the hips are in line with the shoulders and the knees. You could make this plank shorter by letting that bottom knee down to the ground like that. You can vary the placement of your feet. You might have the feet stacked like this. You might have one in front of the other. Hand could be here, or you could stack your hands and shoulders. You could play with different leg shapes in your side plank. You could play with movement from your side plank. Takes a little more energy, takes a little more water. It's very hot and humid here in Cozumel, as it often is. So you could, as you flow through your sun salutations, play with the one-legged plank, one-legged heart opener, one-legged or three-legged dog. One-legged dog. I don't know that pose. Standing on one hand. And you can mix it up. You don't have to do the same variation each time you come through. Maybe you try different things on one side. Can do with plank, with your sun salutation, is you could use blocks. This is essentially the same posture when it comes to the plank, whether it's a long one or a short one. But the blocks can help with the transitions. Like from here, when I come forward and open my heart, I'm further from the ground. So it's easier to have a higher heart opener. Always go with the height of heart opener that's right through your lower back as you flow through. And the biggest difference with the blocks is when you come from your down dog back to your forward fold, that transition is a lot more accessible because you have more room to move your legs. Same goes for when you go from a three-legged dog to step up to a lunge or set up for a warrior one or a warrior two. There's more room to move that leg through because you have essentially brought the ground closer to your hands. That's what we say for having the blocks under the hands. So always in your practice, feel free to make it your own, to modify things according to how you're feeling that day, how your body responds to different postures, different transitions. I always say at the start of a class to listen to your body and to skip or modify anything that you feel the need to, or even just the whim to. And I'll tell you, not all teachers say that, and that's okay. There's a lot of variety in the ways that we teach. Teachers are people, and we're all very different. But I would say to you, teacher to student, yogi to yogi, even if the person you're following in practice hasn't invited you to skip or modify things to accommodate what you've got going on, do it anyway. Do it anyway. It's your practice. Find the practice that suits you best. You are always free to skip or modify any part of the practice because it's your practice. I have my practice on my mat. You have your practice on your mat. And we are not the same. So why should the practice be exactly the same? I hope you found this brief little exploration of plank, different options, variations, transitions be helpful. Questions and feedback are always welcome. That goes for folks that show up live on Zoom, folks that join us at Ruth Hardy Park for the in-person, safely distance classes, and those who enjoy our offerings on YouTube. Questions and feedback are always welcome, whatever channel, medium, frequency you're joining us at. Thank you for tuning in to Urban Yoga YouTube. The light within me sees and honors that light within you. Namaste.